Oh, good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Today, we decided that we were going to talk about human trafficking. This was going to be a show about human trafficking. And on We the People, on my show here, we decided that we aren't just going to complain without offering solutions. And so, what we want to do is we want you to get involved with or without government permission to solve a problem that, in many ways, government has been complicit in, at the very least. Hey, Ryan. And so, at this point, we need to get involved in doing what we need to do to address the situation at hand. And hey, guys, I'm at home really quick. My son's bouncing a basketball. We run things a little bit wild here at the house. One moment. Okay, so how do you get involved? Well, there are two ways that I'm going to tell you that you could get involved. And in fact, there are three ways right now off the bat that I can tell you that you could get involved. And we're going to have a very short show today because I got to get down to La Jolla. But the first one is you can get involved with CERT Ministries. CERT Ministries has a INDOC coming up. And at CERT, it is a Christian ministry that stands for search, evangelize, rescue, and train. And they are a Christian ministry. They do a lot of really good work. They directly get involved with combating human trafficking here in the Inland Empire and throughout the world. You can also, let's see, and so that's the. I was hoping that I was showing that to you. That's the CERT INDOC. It's coming up. Get involved if you want to get involved. It's a great way to get involved. And in fact, the Church of Glad Tidings, Matthew Kennedy, is on the line. He's going to talk to you about how you could get involved with their Peace of Heaven project and also their REV17 conference so that you can meet other people who are like-minded that want to get involved in fighting human trafficking. Matthew Kennedy, welcome to the show.
Hey, David, thanks for having me on today.
It's really good to see you. I appreciate you making time today. Unfortunately, Rudy and Lori got busy. With this line of work, things come up. I appreciate you still being here with me today. Church of Glad Tidings. Tell me about Peace of Heaven. What's going on? How can people get involved?
Yeah, so the Peace of Heaven is actually going to be the largest aftercare facility in the United States known today. So we have decided to join the battle against child trafficking, human trafficking, but more centered towards child trafficking because of the depravity that industry has embedded itself into our society. And it's even more than just for the sex trade. There's other things that they're doing with the children. And our ministry motto at the Church of Glad Tidings is find a need and meet it, find a hurt and heal it. And so the church has been going, into the community to help people for nearly 40 years, about 39 years. And so our pastor, Pastor Dave Bryan, had a vision to purchase a former low security women's prison called the Leo Chesney Center and transform it into a paradise for children who are going to be rescued from slavery, from the trafficking trade. And it's going to be a facility that's going to emphasize on healing the children from the different trauma that they had been exposed to, as well as giving them some of the best education opportunities to rehabilitate themselves, to become productive adults someday in the future. And honestly, we talk about this all the time in our meetings that the children we're going to rescue are the future for America. They're going to be future leaders. They're going to be working in government and the private sector and law enforcement. They're going to be some of the probably the best teachers because we are going to not only help them transform and change and heal, but they're going to be the best Americans that will be able to operate in our country for the new golden era that President Trump talks about. And
So when we talk about drug trafficking, it leads to human trafficking. Of course, open borders lead to human trafficking. There's been a great deal of children that are in this country that were brought to this country illegally with people that were not their parents, and a lot of them have gone missing. In fact, I know that there's a number that is documented that President Biden himself has admitted to, and I can't think of what that number is right now. But at the end of the day, where are those children? Where do they go? We understand that the Inland Empire is a hotbed of human trafficking. There's a lot of it that happens in broad daylight in Los Angeles, off of Figueroa and Orange Street, off of, I believe 4th Street is what I've been told. And it's happening throughout the state. And so at the end of the day, you don't have to wait for government permission to get involved when we see it happening. So when people are removed from these situations, they need a place to go. And that's sort of where the idea for Piece of Heaven comes in. Is that correct, Matt?
Yeah, and Piece of Heaven, we get these kinds of questions all the time, like the what if scenarios, because as people are awakening to the problem itself, we're finding that, some of the children are either American children or they could be international children, right? Which then creates other questions of, well, what's their nation of origin? What language do they speak? How did they end up in the trade? So there's going to be some triage and some vetting of where these children are coming from. Piece of Heaven, we also believe, could be a part of a much larger network, not just in California, but in the nation. And we're working with people that are also thinking through how are we going to help the foreign children, and then how do we get them back to their own countries safely, to actually plug them into a type of a Piece of Heaven in their own nation. Because Piece of Heaven, from what we can see, will, based on its capacity. So the property is 10 acres, and we have pretty much been able to understand how many beds we can fill with being effective. It's somewhere between 200 and 250 is what we're calculating for the Piece of Heaven. But the Piece of Heaven, I feel, is going to be more for the longer term solution of healing, ongoing healing and education aspect of the process for more specifically like American children who are either abducted or have been sold into the trade. There's different ways these children are pulled into the trafficking nightmare. And so we're finding out how the Piece of Heaven is going to fit the best based on the qualifications of the people who are going to be helping us at the facility. And there's going to be different types of facilities that we're learning about in other parts of not only the state, but in the country.
And I think that a big part of this is there is a part that everyone is playing in order to get involved against this fight against human trafficking that is
That's right.
happening in the state of California.
That's
Not a
right.
somewhere else problem, not a third world country problem. In fact, it is all of those places' problem as well, but it's happening right here. And there
Yeah,
are people and places that are throughout the state that are getting involved, and you're getting everyone together
that's
for
right.
a 3-day conference in
That's right.
Northern California. And that's coming up. Can you tell us a little bit about that, Matt?
Yes. So we are putting together probably the largest anti-child trafficking conference called REV17, which comes from the Bible, from Revelation 17, that talks about their Babylonian system, where, and if you read chapters 17 through 18 of Revelations, it talks about Mystery Babylon, which was their system within the Babylonian cities. And what it talks about is they use allegory and analogies of a character, right? And they called her like depending on the type of Bible you're reading, she's referred as the prostitute of Babylon, and she empowers herself through the slavery system of human souls and traffics in human souls. Drinks from a golden goblet, and her clients are the kings of many nations, and so you can really read those scriptures and then understand that what we're living through when it comes to how large human trafficking is. It can be boiled down to, this is what we're living through today in Revelations. And so California is probably one of the most darkest and sinister states in America when it comes to the trade, because we have Hollywood, because we have ports along our coastline, and we are also a border state. It is a hotbed for this satanic industry, and this is why it's so important for people like yourself, David, to really wrap your mind and your soul around this problem and to become passionate about fighting in this battle, because it's going to take it's going to take people awakening to the problem first and creating that awareness, but then electing the right people within the state in order to help support and back what we're doing. Because there has to be accountability, there has to be transparency, there has to be cooperation with, for example, Tom Homan's operations of finding out what's been going on with the trafficking trade through the cartels, as well as the illegal immigration issue that we're trying to solve in this administration. And California needs to be a part of that because it's where the biggest problems are.
That's correct. And so, for those of you that don't know, I was introduced to this fight in 2018 by Pastor Rudy Gonzalez, and it's been a very interesting one. The people that we've met along the way, and of course, I'm not an operator like my best friend Zach is, and like Pastor Rudy is. But the thing is I am somebody who connects people, and I am somebody that activates people. And so, if you do want to get activated, just understand that it says, how long will it take to get to be ended, Matt? It's going to take how long?
1 hour.
1 hour.
And in the Bible, it says in 1 hour. But I talk to people in intelligence that they can solve this in one day, David, but we have to have a place for the children.
1 hour. 1 hour. And so, whether you are a Christian or not, understanding that this is a real problem, I got involved in this when I was not a Christian yet. And it was part of my journey. And Pastor Rudy is actually the one who ended up baptizing me. But I looked at this and I just saw it as modern day slavery, plain and simple, modern day slavery. And we have the ability, maybe perhaps not to end human trafficking throughout the world, but we could do it in California, and we could do it quickly. And we're talking about, and in fact, we had a meeting, a closed door meeting, you, myself, Pastor Dave, Pastor Rudy, Lori, and we all talked about what we could do to end it in 120 days, what we could do to get people organized. And I'm not going to go into the details. I'm not going to go into the plans, but we all can get involved in the fight. We don't have to wait for anyone's permission to get involved. It's sort of like how President Trump ended the border crisis, how quickly he did that. That's how quickly we could implement this. Now, I have to get down to La Jolla to visit with a bunch of Republican women down in San Diego. But I want to give you the final word, Matt. What you guys are doing is so incredible. When is the REV17 conference, and how can people get involved with what you're doing?
Yeah, so the REV17 conference is going to be held at the Church of Glad Tidings, about 45 minutes north of Sacramento Airport. And it's happening June 20th through the 22nd. You can go online to purchase tickets now at Peace of Heaven. That's peaceofheaven.life. You can watch our videos. You can look at our content. There's going to be lots of updates to the website, and there's going to be a couple different ticket options that people can purchase. But this conference is going to incorporate all different aspects of the trafficking trade, what we're doing about it, as well as the solution of the healing aspect of what are the children going to be able to do once they get rescued, and where can we bring them to safely heal from those traumas. So there's a lot of amazing speakers that are coming. We just booked Lara Logan. We just booked Colonel Doc Pete Chambers. We have Lee Dundas. We have Pastor Troy Brewer coming from Texas. We have all these amazing speakers. We even have a survivor from Epstein Island. Her name is Hope Beryl Green. And so we have some amazing people that the public are going to want to hear from. We'd love to have you in person if you want to purchase your ticket. But if you can't make it, because we know life is busy, we're going to be streaming it on X, on Rumble, and a few other platforms. So you'll want to tune in. You can watch it live for free. And we're raising money as well, because we still haven't purchased and gotten the keys for the Leo Chesney Center. We're just about at the $2 million mark of our $4 million goal. We know that with God's mission, anything is possible. And so we are praying into the rest of the funds needed to purchase the property. And then we're going to be doing ongoing fundraising in order to transform it and retrofit it. It's a perfect place for bringing the children. Like I said, it's only going to scratch the surface of the issue, because 250 beds, ladies and gentlemen, is not a lot. When you look at the numbers are staggering. over 350,000 children went missing in the Biden administration alone. That's only
That's
a
right.
4-year window. There's calculations that the amount of children in the nation are as high as 750,000 that are not even tracked in any databases. Go
Matt,
ahead.
give me that date one more time.
June 20 through the 22nd coming up.
June 20th through the 22nd. I appreciate you joining me today, my friend. I've got to get down to San Diego. I don't want to be late. I appreciate you being here, brother. Thanks for making time for us.
Thank you, David. God bless you.
God bless. Okay, everyone. That was Mr. Matthew Kennedy of the Church of Glad Tidings. We talked about today how there are 3 ways that you could get involved right now in the fight against human trafficking. The first way is you can go ahead and join that CERT Ministries team. If you actually want to be an operator, you want to get involved on the ground in the fight against human trafficking. They have an NDOC coming up. They're screening for their team. We have the REV17 conference coming up. Lots of great speakers getting involved throughout the state of California. That's going to be happening a little bit north of Sacramento from June 20th to the 22nd. Make sure that you check that out. And then help Church of Glad Tidings get involved with their Piece of Heaven project. So then that way, when there is someone who is removed from being trafficked, that there is a place for them to be. My name is David Serpa. I am running for governor in the state of California in 2026. I've got to get going. I appreciate you guys joining us today. We'll be back tomorrow. Have a great one.